talents to bear, all of the knowledge that he had accumulated in all of his various fields. And he had a wonderful marriage with Pamela, and then he nursed her through her death with cancer. And then he had a wonderful marriage with Angela, and she nursed him through his death. And I really appreciate that. And all the people that helped him, I'm going to miss him. So thank you for coming today.
I didn't get to know Hugh for decades and decades. For a while, he was just Angela's husband. And then I discovered, no, he's not just Angela's husband. He's somebody. Like Hugh, I'm a meditation teacher, and so I look for the qualities in people that we cultivate, which are things like presence, spontaneity, a humane outlook, kindness, humor. And those things just seem to be quite effortless for Hugh. He didn't make any kind of big production about those things. He was never like, look at how spiritually enlightened I am. He was just there and funny and helpful. I didn't notice at first that he was helpful. He was just sort of present. But then one time we were conversing and he realized there was something that he wasn't sure was quite balanced in my life. And so he said, I think you should talk to this person I know because I'm a little worried about this. He wasn't trying to control my life. He just wanted to make sure I was okay. And I went and talked to the person. I was fine. It was good. But I noticed that, he didn't owe me anything. I wasn't like, his close bosom buddies. He just wanted to make sure I was okay. And I think I had the impression that he wanted to make sure everybody he knew was okay. And that he wasn't biting his nails about it, but if he could do something, he wanted to do it. And he was funny. When one can take life very seriously and laugh uproariously in a consistent fashion, I think they've got something, and I think Hugh had something.
Will you tell us your name, please? Excuse me, sir. Sir, excuse me, sir. Will you just tell us your name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe not everybody knows you in the room.
Right. You don't know me. I'm Will Handy, and I met Angela through the Dallas Shambhala Center. So that's who I am.
Thank you, Will.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. So we do have some time for a few more stories. If you'd like to come up and share about Hugh, and please do say your name so we know who you are or how you might know Hugh. So we'll also have time to share stories at the celebration. But come on up here. We can even start a little line. Come on up here. Come on up here. It's all right.
Group that I belong to, which is BNI. And he actually was one of the people who, voted me into that chapter. And he always had this sense of wanting to be very helpful to everybody in the chapter, especially me. And then eventually he took kind of an interest in my personal life, and he actually gave me some of the best dating advice I've ever had. And always kind of made sure that I was never settling for less than what I deserved. And it was really interesting because, after his wife passed away, then he met Angela, and during that transition period, I was going through some tough times as well. And he was just very up with help without me even asking, to the extent of even offering a place for me to stay when I needed one, which luckily I found a place, but it was so nice that he was willing to do that. And eventually he became my meditation teacher because I was in a place in my life where I wanted more spiritual development, and he really introduced me to that whole field. To this day, I do practice the same meditation, and I used to go there every day, and sometimes it was just me, Angela, and you. So I was very saddened when I heard about him. It was just kind of a shock, and I just remember in my meditation always sending him a prayer of gratitude for everything that he has done for me. And because I had such reverence for him, I actually, when I started dating my husband, I introduced him to Hugh before I even introduced him to my family, because I wanted to make sure he approved, and his psychic abilities can tell me whether this was the right guy or not. And one of the things I want to share with you, Angela, is he always spoke of you with such, his eyes would light up when he talked about you. And he not only talked about you with love, but with tremendous respect and reverence and adoration. And I would just, talk about meeting you someplace, and he's like, oh my gosh, isn't she, her laugh is just so amazing. So just know that I think the happiest days of his life were with you. And I'm just so glad that you were able to kind of allow him to pass through this life with perfection. And I was glad to spend the final moments with you too. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Rick Barton, and with the passing of Easter this last week, I couldn't help but recall that as much as we prepare for things that we know are coming, you never, ever really can prepare for the event. And I prepared some notes here because I wanted to say some great things that I remembered about Hugh. First and foremost, Hugh was a great friend. I know Hugh for a little more than 10 years. When I think of Hugh, he was a tremendously giving person with incredible qualities. And there were 4 qualities in mind that I wanted to highlight that I found and I will cherish and miss. The first is integrity. Those that you know, I never here knew Hugh, but in working with him, it becomes very evident to everyone who he touched that Hugh will always and always did do the right thing and did what he said, even to his own disadvantage. There are really few people in the world that I've experienced that would sacrifice to that level, and I will miss that. A lot of people before him have alluded to this. One component of his character was a tremendous ability for inspirational sharing of ideas. Hugh and I discussed many things for hours on the phone. I would get a call at my office, and it would seem like a 5-minute conversation. And Angela, I apologize, because I can't tell you how many times I would hang up the phone and it would say 85 minutes. I always look forward to the next conversation with him, and it didn't matter what the subject was. He had an opinion, and he expressed it with passion, often with humor. We would talk about subjects that varied on our perspectives, but the thing that was always encouraging in the discussion was always an exchange of ideas. While I was often the one that moved closer to what Hugh was conveying, perhaps he was a better debater than I. One thing that I will miss is the discussion was always enlightening. I learned a great deal from you. And Angela, again, I offer my apology for all the time that I took, more than I probably should have. A lot of people before me, the third component is his humor. Boy, I tell you, when I first met Hugh, I found his sense of humor a bit dry, but he was funny. As I got to know him and listened to his stories, what I really found about Hugh is that he was lighthearted, and what he did, he was able to amazingly focus on the silliness and craziness that exists in life. He was funny. Sometimes he was outrageous. Often he was outrageously funny. One of his favorite sayings, like he would say to me oftentimes when we talk about things that are going on, he said, "People is crazy." Okay. In essence, he helped me laugh at reality and truly made many people's lives that he touched brighter. The last item and thing that I cherish is friendship. Still makes my eyes tear up at the loss of such a valued friend. I will be eternally thankful for the opportunity to have met and know Hugh. It will take some time to adjust to the cadence of life without him, but I will never forget him. In closing, if you really take these 4 qualities, and what I've tried to do is take them forward in my life, because in the end, Hugh did make the world a better place. And if we took some of those qualities that he taught us, I'm sure each of us could make the world a better place as well. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Monty Anderson, and I was Hugh's partner at Tyler Station. So I wrote something, so I'm just going to read it to you. Here's. Those of you that knew this man named Hugh, strangers he met were very few. He once told me he was a lazy broker. He liked to work easy, as you said over there. Wasn't true. He was anything but mediocre. Always thinking about real estate deals. Talking with him, I honed in on my skills. Co-housing and solar panels he pushed me to do. Artist workspaces ended up being our cue. Tyler Station was big and old, though he convinced me it was filled with gold. One day he came with $100,000 in cash. He put it on the table and told me to get off my ass. A collaboration village was then conceived. He was the one that really believed. A good sport he was, but he loved winning awards. He loved going and getting those awards. Hawaiian shirts and cowboy hats, he played a different chord. Long emails with too much information. Connecting people was his life's station. He trusted me and made me feel special. A friend and a partner, he was definitely beneficial. Angela, he cared about in a very spiritual way. Heaven has welcomed him on this joyful day.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Lee, and I met Hugh about 20 years ago. We had many business transactions, buying and selling, but the one that stood out the most was at one point he brought a property to me, and he said, "Dr. Lee, this is a great deal." He did his research. He's very detail-oriented. He did everything before he brought it to me, but I was very cautious at that time. I was young, and he goes, he doesn't want me to pay off the property completely. He wants me to leverage. That's his favorite word. Dr. Lee, leverage it. I go, but I'm not used to that. Where I come from, we just pay whatever we pay off everything. We don't like finance. And he go, no, leverage it. He pretty much always want me to not use all my money in one project. He go, he start to, the last conversation for that, he started to say, Dr. Lee, let me tell you a story. He's like a big brother to me. He always tell me a story to teach me a lesson. He go, you ever walk down the street and along the way you see a piece of minerals or rocks that kind of catch a corner of your eyes, and you have to do a double take a couple times to realize that was not just a piece of rock, that's a piece of gold nugget. This is a property just like that. And I go, okay, I see your point. So I go, okay, I go along with you. I put down 20%. 2 years later, we still haven't sold the property. I start calling Hugh. I go, Hugh, I think I make a mistake here. He go, no, don't worry. As soon as we hung that up, 2 weeks later, he called me. Him and Pam called me and say, we got a buyer. I go, really? Great. This property is like behind Walmart. Nobody knows where it is. There's no frontage. There's no exposure at all. I go, wow, who would want to buy something like that? Well, it turned out that we bought the property. We sold it at, I think Hugh told me like 200% gain. I like, whoa, wait a minute, 200%. No, he recalculated. He go, no, that's 2,000% gain. I was like, whoa, that's great. So from that point on, I trust him completely. So everything he brought to me after that, I go, okay, I go with your instinct. I go with your recommendation. So he also recommended me to Rick Bond, which, we connect and we do business. So last December, I was in Vegas. Hugh called me. Like I said, he's like a big mentor to me, big brother to me. He called me. He goes, Dr. Lee, I have good news for you, and I have bad news. He told me that good news, he go, you want good news or bad news first? I go, well, tell me the good news first. He go, well, I got a buyer for your last property. I want to take care of you before I go. I go, what do you mean? He broke the news to me. And at that point, I couldn't say anything because I couldn't find word to comfort him. I don't know what to say at that point. And I asked him, Hugh, what can I do? He asked me to give him time, and I respect that. And he say, there's so many times that I want to just dry up. I moved down to Dallas, to Houston, and I just want to drive up to Dallas to see him. But he said, I want to spend time with Angela. And I respect that. And I wish I would see him the last time that we spoke, but I didn't have that chance. But I guess to sum it up, sometimes we go through life and along the way we met people. And to reflect back to that story, Hugh is one of those people like that golden nugget on the side. When I met him, I have to take, double take, triple take. And then finally, it's like, wow, he's a very decent guy. He's like a big brother to me. I understand sometimes he very frustrated with me because I didn't understand what he tried to show me. He's always make sure I dot my I and cross my T. And Hugh, I don't know what's going to happen from this point on because sometimes I do forget to dot my I and cross my T. And I hope you up there and make sure you guide me along the way. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Siobhan Farr. 4 years ago, I got a telephone call from Angela. She said, Hugh needed a new assistant. Can I send out an email blast? Well, at that time, I was doing a career change, and I needed a part-time job. And so I said, I'm not going to send out a blast. I'm going to take this job. Hugh said, I'm not going to hire you. And I said, but I can do. He said, yeah, but you're overqualified. I said, I know that, but I need the job, and I can do a good job for you. Now, he asked for 3 references. He did a background check, a credit check, and I think he had somebody from BNI do a psychological and emotional stability assessment on me. Keep in mind, we had been friends for 5 years. And so when he's asked for 3 references, I was inclined to say Hugh, Angela, and some other random person. But of the 3 references that I gave him, I gave him the people who he did not know. So we didn't have those people in common. And of course, I told him that to expect a call from them, and all of them, after speaking from Hugh, each one of them called me up, and they said, I spoke to Hugh. And each one of them said, do you really want to work for this guy? And I said, yes. Because I knew that I would be working for one of the kindest people I'd already gotten to know. Candid and caring, and so very much a person who shared of his wealth of knowledge. And that was, as I said, 4 years ago. And sitting next to him 16 hours a week, my respect, and my affection for him, my love for him and Angela, just continued to grow over that time. My daughter has known Angela and Hugh since she was 11 years old, so that means she's known them for more than half her life. And upon learning of his passing, she sent a message to Angela. And she asked me to share part of that message here today, since she couldn't be here. I know that from where I sit, there's not much I can offer you in terms of comfort or aid. But I hope you know that I'm thinking of you and Hugh with love in my heart, and hoping that in some way you can feel it. I believe that in some way people live on after they have passed, and in their legacies they leave on earth and the lives that they have impacted. There's no way for me to measure all the contributions Hugh made during his time here and all the people who benefited from knowing him. But I believe his legacies will last many lifetimes. For me, I will always remember a man who had passion, quirk, and quick wit. Someone who not only encouraged the success of others, but also actively participated in helping those around him grow. I am so glad to have spent part of my time on this earth knowing Hugh, she says. I will carry with me the lessons I learned from him into the future of my own life, and I hope to pass them on with as much generosity as he did. With love, Maya for Henderson. For me, Hugh's legacy also lives in one of my email folders. It's labeled Hughisms. And it's filled with messages that he would periodically send to family and friends. And I was blessed to be one of those. And some key subject lines, as I took comfort, I was going through them again, and some key subject lines. Words have power, perfectionism, practice gratitude, Zen jokes, look for the good, and always in closing, the words, love and blessings, Hugh.
So I just have a little story to tell. And I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to tell him this, so I hope he's listening. My name is Lainey, and he was a huge mentor and benefactor in my life, and just all that good stuff. But he came to my 45th birthday party, and it was a potluck, and he brought a rotisserie chicken. And you just don't get in the way of a Jew and their rotisserie chicken. I mean, you just don't. I mean, I understand firsthand because I'm the same way about rotisserie chicken. Well, he sat with that rotisserie chicken after everybody had their fill and sat on my balcony with a group of friends while we were talking and just proceeded to eat everything off that carcass. And because he was so unapologetically who he was, he really just didn't care what other people thought, and it was a beautiful thing. And it really appalled one of my friends who is not Jewish, and she just didn't get it. And so it just was really funny. He was at my 50th birthday, which was just last May, and she showed up and she's like, "Are there any chickens?" I love you, Hugh.
So the last thing that I want to say has to do with timing and taking advantage when the opportunity it presents itself. And I say that because I met Hugh at the exact right moment for both of us, and I was in a place where I could recognize that I had an opportunity that, you know, at other periods of my life I would have missed. And it was just completely, you know, I was here in Dallas for a film festival, and I think I might have seen Bart here, I'm not sure, but yes, hey, Bart. So he is the reason that I live here, that I met the man who I married. We were standing in line, waiting to talk to him, and it was a long line, so we started talking to each other. That was November 4th, 2009. We had our first date, November 6th, 2009, which was Hugh's birthday, which he didn't mention because he didn't care about birthdays or holidays or anything like that. Every day was special as far as he was concerned. And my mother randomly, just out of the blue at one point, because she never gave me advice about men or anything like that, but just out of the blue, once she said to me, "If you ever meet a widower who is happy with his wife, that's a guy to pay attention to." She said it simpler. And that's who Hugh was. He had been very, very happily married. He nursed his wife as she was dying for a year. I met him, we talked, and our very first conversation of any depth was about death. I was still dealing with the death of my mother. He was dealing with the death of his wife, and I realized I need to pay attention to this because this is a guy, I mean, how many people are willing to talk about death in our culture at the level that we immediately went to? So I immediately started to pay attention. I came back for a visit, December 27th, 2009, and we got married January 6th, 2010, because I knew that this was an opportunity. He was an opportunity not to be missed. And he, you know, I was going to jump in with both feet, which I'd never been married before. He'd been married before, so he did the due diligence. He did the background check. I don't think he called references. So he was dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and because he knew the feelings were real, but he wanted to back in with logic, as those of you who know him have heard him say that repeatedly. You make the decision with emotion and then you back into it with logic. So that's what he did. And I have to say that it was certainly one of the best decisions I ever made. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude that I didn't pass by that golden nugget, the golden nugget who was Hugh. And I'm so, so grateful that y'all came to celebrate that guy with him. I mean, I'm sad, I cry, but I'm overwhelmingly, it's joy, it's gratitude. And if I can be half the person moving forward in my life that he was and make half the difference that he made, I would be. That's something to aspire to.
So I have one more piece to read that was lovingly sent. These are the words from Bruce Joel Rubin, Hugh's meditation teacher. In addition to practicing meditation for 40 years, he's a screenwriter, probably best known for writing the movie Ghost. These are Bruce's words. Hugh was an original on every level. He could not be defined by any categories. His singular aspect was his openness to pursuing understanding and truth on his own terms, and his willingness to encompass whatever he found on his own terms as well. No one else determined who he was. He did not see through the same lens as anyone else, and he spoke with a quiet voice that cannot be imitated. He was totally unique, and he was truly special. I'm a meditation teacher in the lineage of our shared teacher, Rudy. We both lost him many years ago when we were much younger, and we had to find our own path in the world. We learned all early on that we are all alone in the world, and because of that, to treasure any and all human connection. Hugh loved deeply and was deeply loved in return. There will never be another person like him, which is reason to celebrate his time among us. We have met and known a true individual. We will always carry that good fortune, that stroke of enormous luck with us. He will be missed, but the love we feel will go nowhere. It will always be with us. Thank you, Hugh, for being you. And remember the last words from the film Ghost. The love inside, you take it with you. Godspeed and boundless love always. Bruce.
You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in its jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. So she took her love for to gaze a while upon the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? You can tell the sun in its jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. I never make promises lightly, and there have been some that I've broken, but I swear in the days still left we will walk in fields of gold. Many years have passed since those summer days among the children run as the sun goes down, as you lie in fields of gold. You'll remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in its jealous sky as we walk in fields of gold. When we walk in fields of gold. When we walk in fields of gold.
And so we come to the time of the end of our official celebration. We'll carry on in the reception across the way in Pankey Hall, in our fellowship hall, and have lots more opportunities to tell stories. But we come now to the end, and it's an opportunity for us to close with saying goodbye. So for those of you who are familiar with the guided meditation, I just invite you to carry along with me. And if you're not familiar with the guided meditation, I just invite you to close your eyes and follow in your imagination and just let it take you wherever it takes you. And Scott, if you would play us a little music. So if you would just take a breath with me as we have shared these beautiful stories and memories of a quirky, witty, kind, caring man. And as you close your eyes and you take a deep breath, I just want you to realize that in this moment, Hugh is standing next to you. And he's standing next to you because you are walking him to that beautiful, beautiful ship that sits there at the edge of the dock. That ship that will carry him away. But right now, you're walking together down that long dock in the sun. And their beautiful three-masted schooner with pennants snapping in the breeze. And the white sails, so beautiful in the sun. And while you are reluctant to let Hugh go, he is eager to set sail. And so as you've walked across the dock, you stand now at the foot of the gangplank, and you turn to Hugh, and he turns to you. And right here in this moment, you have the opportunity to say what is in your heart to this beloved man. Look into his eyes and speak the words that are yours to say. And Hugh receives those words, maybe with a smile, with a hug. And as he has received your words, he has something to say to you. And so in this moment, just be present and listen to whatever it is that Hugh has to say to you. And as he completes, he's eager to move on. With a quick hug and a quick smile, Hugh walks up that gangplank, and he turns at the railing. And as the ship begins to leave the dock, he waves goodbye to those of us standing there. And the ship moves out beautifully in the breeze, and we are waving madly goodbye for as long as we can make out his figure at the railing. And as it gets too far away, all we see are those beautiful sails in the sunlight. Until at the very end, that ship hangs on the horizon, and it slips from our sight. And Hugh is gone. But here's what we can know for sure, is that when that ship slips across the horizon from our sight, it is moving into view of those who stand on the further shore. And just as madly as we were waving goodbye, so those on the other side are just as madly waving hello. And as that ship docks there on the other side, and Hugh walks down that gangplank, he is greeted with as much love, as many smiles, and as much joy as he has left with us here on this side. And so we take comfort in knowing that love is eternal, that we move from love to love, from life to life, forever embraced in the arms of that abiding love. And we know that while we are saddened on this side, Hugh is embraced on the other. And with this comfort, we take hope and peace and a profound commitment to simply know that love is always the answer. And we take a breath and we allow ourselves to return from that dock into this room. So that we may be here with the love and the joy that Hugh has left with us. And so it is.
There's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, oh why can't Well, I see trees of green and I see red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white, the brightness of day. I like the night and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, someday I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I?